everybody, and welcome back. Today I'm going to teach you how to crochet a cute little ball. It's just a ball, it's nothing fancy, but I'll tell you what, kids love this stuff. So I made these for my grandsons. You can see they're made out of, it's the same pattern, just two different types of yarn. You can see how the size difference is tremendous, right? I used was it 10 crochet needles, my big yarn here, and this one was like a 4.5 millimeter crochet needle with regular yarn. So today we're going to use a 5 millimeter crochet hook with worsted weight yarn. Using this white worsted weight yarn with some gold weave through it. It's kind of pretty. And then you're also going to need some scissors, a yarn needle. I like to use the bent yarn needle. And then also stitch markers, if you have them. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can just use a piece of yarn. It works perfectly well. I did that for a long time. Okay, so you have all your supplies together. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do first is work through our wheel. And so in order to make a wheel, you're just going to want to take a long tail, pinch it between your first and thumb, back towards like the knuckle area. Wrap it around your first and second finger, and then down to the back, and then wrap it over back towards your ring finger, and hold it down with your pinky so that you can make this X. See the X? Then you're going to take your crochet needle, and you're going to go behind the X, and take this first piece and pull it back, and then go over the top and pull that piece through the loop you just made. Okay? And that is your crochet wheel that we're going to work into. We're going to work 6 single crochets into this wheel. Okay. So in order to do that, the first thing you do is take your crochet needle into the wheel, pull through, yarn over, and pull your yarn through both stitches. Single crochet. Okay, we're going to do that 6 times, so that's the first one. 2. 3. Again, all you're doing is going into your stitch, pulling through a piece of yarn, yarn over, and pull that yarn through both loops. When I do it slow, I manage to screw up. Let's try that again. Okay. Get my fingers situated here. Okay. Pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull that through both loops. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. We need 2 more. So we're going to go into our loop, pull through our yarn, yarn over, and pull that piece of yarn through both loops. That's 5. And there is 6. Okay. So we're done with our first stitches, and that makes a row of 6. And it's very important to count. You'll be counting throughout this whole project. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those are your stitches right there. Okay, there's 6. So this is what I like to do, is just pull my yarn through. So I'm not trying to fiddle with too many things at once. And I untangle this long string that we had, right? Untangle that string. And then just straighten out your stitches so they're all facing in one direction. And then start slowly pulling on that. And it's going to crumple up, so I like to just take a second and uncrumple it so that when it does pull into the circle, you can see all the stitches visible and they're not crumpling underneath of each other. Okay, so we do that. Okay, and so those are going to be our first stitches that we work into. Okay, so let me just put our needle back in and pull your thread taut. And then you're going to do a slip stitch through that first stitch. So a slip stitch through the first stitch. Oops, sorry. Slip stitch. Isn't that what I just said? Slip stitch. Okay. And then you're going to do a one. Let me just get out here. 1, 2, 3. You're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1. Go back into that stitch and do 2. And you're going to do that all the way around until you have 12 stitches. So that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, that is your last stitch for that row. Okay, so that is the last stitch for your row. So you should have 12, so count backwards for 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 for the row. Okay, so then what I like to do is I put my stitch marker into my last stitch. Some people put it into their first stitch. I put it into my last stitch. So I always know that's my last stitch of the row. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be increasing in this next row. We're going to be increasing stitches into this next row. So what you're going to do is we're going to be doing 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2 single crochets, and then into the next stitch 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. And then we're just going to repeat that all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. Okay? One single crochet, 2 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 1 single crochet. Okay, and so here we are back at the end where our stitch marker is. Remember, that's our last stitch, so we take our stitch marker out, and into that last stitch you should be doing 2 single crochets. So we're going to do 1, 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker into my last stitch, and then that will finish out row 3. Okay. All right, so we go into row 4. All we're going to do for row 4 is do 1 single crochet through every stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, here we are at the end of our 4th row in our last stitch. So we're just going to take out the stitch marker and put our last single crochet in there, and then we want to pop that stitch marker back in, just so we always know where to stop our row. Otherwise it looks kind of wonky if you don't know. Okay, so there we go, and you can see it's starting to take form. Okay, so then that was our, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do another increase. So we're going to do 1, 2 single crochets, and then in our next spot there we're going to do 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then we'll do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you back at our stitch marker. Okay, here we are back at our last stitch of the row. Row 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, row 5, sorry. Okay, so we're at our last stitch of row 5, so we just want to take out our stitch marker, and you should be doing 2 single crochets into your last stitch right there. And then we're going to put back in our stitch marker, and then we're going to start our 6th row. And for our 6th row, we're just going to do a single crochet in the same the stitches all the way around. We're not going to do anything fancy, no increases. We're just going to do a single crochet into every stitch all the way around. And you can start to see, I mean, I am a slow crocheter, so if you want to fast forward the video, be my guest. But I'm just going to sit here and just talk a little bit about my channel and so forth. So if you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to single crochet all the way around until I get to the end. I use these as great gifts. I have toddlers for grandchildren, and they love to throw balls, and these are nice and soft. So I thought these would be a fun gift, and I brought, I made a heart. I made a big puffy heart, and I brought it over, and they loved it, and I did not think I would get the kind of response that I did, but they absolutely loved it. So I thought, I'm going to make these balls and bring them over. We are having a birthday party this coming weekend, so I'm going to make a bunch of these balls, and I'm going to bring them over and give them to all the kids. They are going to think it is Christmas, but it's not. It's my granddaughter's birthday. Widgets like Christmas, I think. I think I should give this one to my granddaughter. It's sparkly, it's very cute. Yeah, these are so fun. Crocheting is the most inexpensive way to make gifts for your children and your grandchildren. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. I've made blankets and bunnies and panda bears and all kinds of fun things. Chickens, lots of chickens. Okay, here we are at the end. We're at the end where our stitch marker is, so just go ahead and take out your stitch marker, put in your last stitch, and then go ahead and put your stitch marker back in. I like these stitch markers, they're fine, but I'll tell you what, I've seen some super cute ones out there, so shop around, guys. Okay, so here we are at the beginning of our next row, and what we're going to be doing is one single crochet, one single crochet into the next stitch, one single crochet into the next stitch, so that's 3 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So the pattern for this row is going to be 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the stitch. So that'll be our increase for this row. So go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you back around at our stitch marker. Okay guys, here we are at the end of that round with our stitch marker. So go ahead and take out your stitch marker, and you should be popping in 2 single crochets into this last stitch. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and put in our stitch marker for our very last stitch that we did, and that completes that row. All right guys, okay, now for the next 3 rows, so let me see what row I'm on right now. Let me count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We just finished row 8. So for rows 9 through 11, it's just going to be 1 single crochet all the way around. I'm also going to remind you too to take this time to take your tail end right here, and we're going to just pull it a little bit, not too much because you don't want to break your yarn. Just pull it a little bit to cinch it up. And then what I'm going to have you do at this time is take your yarn needle, okay? We're going to just thread the yarn so that it doesn't come loose when the kids are playing with it. So just thread your yarn, and then this little thing that we just cinched up makes this tiny little circle. So what we want to try and do is go around, take your, let me see if I can't pull it in there for you guys to see it. Do you see that tiny little circle right there? We are going to try to thread our yarn through that circle in order to cinch it up. Okay, so we're just going to go around that circle in the around the circle in the very best way that we can, because the more, whoops, I just went the wrong way. Oh my goodness, I lost the circle. Oh, go back. Go back. Okay, my bad. There's the circle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to cinch around the correct circle, and then you're just going to want to do just a couple. You don't have to go crazy, but just do a couple around here to kind of keep it in place so that it doesn't come undone when the kids are playing with it. You don't have to go crazy with it. And then just take your yarn and go up the row underneath the stitches to hide the yarn in so it even attaches it further, and then that's all you need to do, and you can just take your yarn off because we're going to be stuffing this anyway, so you can just keep the yarn. You don't have to clip it or anything. All right, okay, so let's go back to our stitch. So you just want to put your needle back in, tighten it up, and again we're going to be doing 1 single crochet all the way around for the next 3 rows. So go ahead and work on that, and I will meet you back around on row 11. Hello everybody, here we are at the end of round 11 with our stitch marker. We're going to do the last stitch for the round, so go ahead and take out your stitch marker and put in a single crochet, and then we're going to go ahead and put our stitch marker back in so that we know where our last stitch was. Okay. All right, so now our next round is going to be the first of our decrease round. This is halfway. I know it looks like an egg, but when we stuff it, it'll look like a ball. Okay, so what we're going to do is decrease. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and then we're going to do a decrease stitch. So the best way to do an invisible decrease stitch is go through the first loop. So you can see there's the first loop and the back loop. Can you see that? You have the front loop, the front loop, and the back loop. So we're just, for the next 2 stitches, we're going to be going up through the front loop and the front loop, like that, okay? I'll put my needle back in. Okay. So we're going to be going through the front loop, and then through the next front loop, and we're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through those loops, and then yarn over and pull your yarn through that loop. And that is your hidden decrease. Let's do that again. So we'll do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and a decrease. Put our yarn through the front stitches, pull your yarn through those 2 front stitches, yarn over, and pull your yarn through those 2 stitches for your invisible stitch. And do that all the way around till you get to the yarn mark, or to the stitch marker here, and I will meet you back there. Okay, here we are at the end of row 12, and there should be 2 stitches left before you get to your stitch marker where you should be doing a decrease. So I'll go ahead and take out the stitch marker, and we'll do the decrease stitch underneath the first loop of the next 2 stitches. Pull the yarn through, yarn over, and pull the yarn through, and there is your decrease stitch. And then you're going to want to put your stitch marker into that stitch. And that is the end of row 12. So we're going to begin row 13, and for row 13 it's just going to be a single crochet all the way around the row. So we're just going to do a single crochet until you are done, and I'll meet you back here at the stitch marker. Okay, here we are back at the end of the round at our stitch marker for our last single crochet for the round. Okay, and then we'll just put our stitch marker back in. Mark the end of that round. Okay, so now our next stitch is going to be a decrease row. Our next row, sorry, is going to be a decrease row. So the next row is going to be like this. We're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and a decrease stitch. So up through the front loop, yarn over, and you're going to do that all the way around until you get to the stitch marker. 2, and then a decrease stitch. Come on. Single crochet, single crochet, decrease stitch, single crochet, single crochet, decrease stitch, both, and both, single crochet, okay, so now we need to take out the stitch marker because we're at 2 stitches before the end, and we need to make that our decrease stitch. So we'll do our decrease stitch here. Oops. Decrease stitch here, and then we'll put our stitch marker back in. Okay, and then our next row is going to be a single crochet all the way around until you get back to the stitch marker. So we're just going to do a single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you back. Okay, here we are back at the last stitch of the row. Go ahead and take out this stitch marker. And we're going to put in our single crochet, and that will end our row. And then we'll put our stitch marker back in, and we're going to do another decrease row. Okay, so that's back in. So now we're doing another decrease row. So this row is going to be 1 single crochet and 1 decrease stitch. Okay, 1 single crochet and 1 decrease stitch. One single crochet and 1 decrease stitch. One single crochet and 1 decrease stitch. And you can see this really cinches it up quite a bit up there at the top. So what we're going to do when we're finished with this round is we are going to put our stuffing in, otherwise it's going to be too closed and we won't be able to do that. So there is our single crochet. Okay, and then the last stitch is 1 single crochet, and then I'm not going to put the stitch marker back in here because we're just going to be decreasing for the remaining part of this project. So I'm going to pull that out quite a bit there, pull my yarn, and then we're going to go ahead and stuff it. So make sure to put the yarn tail inside. And then I like to use this, oops, let me try to grab it here. I like to use this craft filler, so that's what I've been using for all of my projects because it's just this filler. And it just makes for the projects to be really nice and soft, and it's been wonderful so far. So I'm just gonna put the filling in and just really push it down into the bottom, because this is where you're gonna kind of push out the shape of the ball. See how that shapes out nicely? So I'm gonna keep pushing this filler in there. I don't want to put too much in there because you don't want it to be like weirdly distorted or anything like that. So just kind of push it in there and work it around until you get the nice shape you're looking for. I am going to put this in there. Okay. Okay. That is a lovely size. So we're just going to excuse me. Pull my tail right there. Okay. Okay, now that we've got all of our yarn in, we're going to go ahead and start our next row with our decrease stitch. So the whole thing is going to be the decreased stitch. So go under the 2 loops, pull the yarn through, and yarn over and pull your yarn through. Okay. Go through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull your yarn through, yarn over and pull your yarn through. Okay, and then decrease stitch. Decrease stitch. And I think that's the last one, so we're going to pull our yarn up through, and you don't have to worry about giving it a tail or anything like that. So we're going to pull it through. Okay, you still have a little bit of a gap up there, right? So we're going to take take the yarn needle, little end right there. Okay, take the yarn needle, and what you're going to do is go all of your loops there, you're going to go back and forth. So you're going to go under and to the next one, under. And then we're going to just cinch it like a purse. And then we're going to take our yarn and just go round. And go down the side of the ball. And then I like to go through the ball, and then go through the ball again, and then go ahead and cut your yarn. And there you go. Voila. You have a ball. All right. Whoop. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you have fun making yours, and tell your friends, like and share and subscribe. Have a great day.